What is going on, everyone? It's been a while since I've done a video kind of like this where I'm sitting down talking in a hotel. I'm in Panama City, Panama. I'm way down south, lower latitudes. Uh, Thanks for everyone that's been following me. I'm over 8,000 subscribers now on YouTube. You guys notice, I know all the corporate guys has been following my day in a life as a corporate pilot and all this different things flying a Challenger. Well, my company is not allowing me to make videos anymore. I've said it maybe a couple videos ago. I'm sorry. It's very unfortunate that I can't, because I can't share the experience that I'm having on the road and what other people are having on the road. It's like this big top secret thing, but it's really not a top secret thing. They just didn't want the liability out there, and you know, kind of when I even started, I knew it was kind of pushing an envelope on things like that. I'd never talk about owners or show an owner, but I do want to show kind of the life of what it is like to work for the company I'm working for. You know, one thing, let's set it straight. I'm not really a corporate pilot, but I'm not an airline pilot. We're kind of in between. It's hard to really say how it is, just because, you know, a corporate department is not nearly as big as what, you know, the company I'm working for. We have about 2,400 pilots. We have over 400 aircraft. Everything's seniority based. We have schedules, pretty much just like an airline. Here's some things I probably really never talked about. I never have to commute to work. Okay, my base is in Dayton, Ohio, and I just have to show up to the airport in Dayton, and we're home based. So you can almost live anywhere in the United States and have a schedule. So if you live in, say, you know, Chicago or Kansas City, well, you can live there, and then that'll be your base. And what you have to do is just show up there, and then they have to pay for you to get to the aircraft, whatever aircraft you're flying. If you're flying a Challenger or a Global, Gulfstream, Falcon, Encore, whatever, it's their job to get you where you need to be. Okay, so you may airline there, you may have to take a limo, a CLS, which is a chauffeured limousine service, or they may have you rent a car. So there's different ways you can do that. And sometimes at the larger, you know, busier places, Chicago, Teterboro, White Plains, aircraft will be there, so all you have to do is just show up. You don't have to airline or commute. The company pays for all that. They pay for your airline tickets, they pay for your rental car, they pay for their CLS. And one thing that's kind of cool about it, we have a company credit card. Well, we use that to book all the airlines and whatever, and we get those points. You don't get that in an airline. Okay, an airline, if you work for, say, an X or Y airline, and you're not at the base where you're at, so you have to commute. You have to go to the airport where you're, you know, that you live near. You have to try to jump seat, fly to Oakland, get on an aircraft and fly your 3 or 4 day trip, which ends probably in Oakland. And then if you live in Ohio like me, then you have to commute all the way back to Dayton, Ohio, which might take 2 or 3 different you know, flights to catch, and if they're full, then you can't get on them. So, you know, that's kind of what makes this job very unique. I never have to actually travel and commute on my own time. If they don't get me home on my day off due to weather or scheduling or whatever, it's kind of their fault. They have to deal with that. So, and that's the way it should be. A true corporate job is a lot different. I have friends that fly corporate. They don't get schedules. They don't get hard set days off. You know, I get set days off. I work a week, I'm off a week. That is my schedule. I'm a 7 on, 7 off is what we call it. There's also a 52-day schedule. There's a 72-day schedule. There's a 76-day schedule. And there's also, I think they call it a 60, CC 60. But pretty much how the schedule breaks down is there's 365 days in a year, so we have 3 bid periods in a year, pretty much 120 days approximately, right? So out of 120 days, the 52-day schedule, that person flies 52 days. They work 52 days. If you work in a 72-day, you work 72 days. If you work the 76, which you work a lot more, you work 76 days out of 120. So the 52-day, they don't work a lot. The 76, they do. And those schedules kind of can vary between work going out on the road for 5 days to maybe 8 days at the most, I think. and then you're either off for 3, 4, or 5 days. Sometimes maybe even 6 or 7. But I know my friends that's on the 52 day, they have a pretty nice schedule. They like it. It's a little bit variable. They don't know their schedule until on the 15th of the month prior. But then once they know that, then they can go ahead and book and do whatever they want. They can plan vacations, different things like that. That's not even counting your vacations that you actually get. But, for me, every other week's a vacation. It's 7 days on, 7 days off. So I kind of know what's going on in April or May or June or whatever. And that kind of works for me and my schedule. So I'm going to answer a couple questions. I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram, and I need to go and kind of answer some of these. A lot of them are kind of asking the same thing. It's a lot of younger pilots that's out of high school, going to college right now, going to flight school. So I'm going to try to answer some of these questions, and let me try to look them up here. All right, we have MK McClure. He's trying to get his commercial. He's really wanting to know between the airline job and the schedule for the airline job and a corporate job. He would love to hear about it, and he's only 19, and he's wanting to do a career in aviation. So I've kind of just answered a little bit of that, MK. The main thing is like, where do you want to go in your career? And it's hard to really say when you're 19 because, when I was 19, I was flying old Beech 18s and Twin Otters. Well, I actually was 21. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to fly professionally pretty much when I was 19, so I went to a 141 program, got my instrument commercial, multi-commercial. I got my private under Part 61 at Red Stewart Airfield, where you guys seen me, my previous videos where I learned how to fly, flying a couple on skis, different things like that. So I learned Part 61 initially, and then I went into a Part 141 program for my other ratings. I got my CFI after I had 1,000 hours. If you guys watch my previous videos, I kind of talk about it. I won some money in a casino, and my designated examiner did my instruction for my CFI. He signed me off, and then I went and took my CFI with another examiner. So I keep my CFI current. I actually let it lapse once, so I had to go take another check ride, but I won't do that again. So MK, I wrote you back, and I hope some of that information helps. And you can always write me back, and if I have time, I'll write you guys back. I'll write anybody back if I have time. It is busy, but it's winter for me right now, so it's not so bad. All right, next question. All right, I just got a question from Nicholas. He's actually in Europe, and he's trying to get his ratings also. He wrote a pretty long email, but pretty much he's about to get his commercial. He's been watching my stuff on YouTube, and examination in 3 months. My problem is what he's trying to do is just actually, which is the great thing about it, you need to go out and ask a lot of different people. Get their opinions on what direction to take, okay? My opinion is going to be a lot different than someone that's flying for a major airline or different, say a true corporate Part 91 flight department or some, 135 freighter. So I get a lot of different opinions, and with me, I'm just kind of giving you my ideas, my opinions, and kind of how I did it. I'm not, I've been flying 25 years, but things have changed a lot. Believe me, I used to shoot a lot of NDBs. They don't even do that anymore. But what you need to do is get people's opinion and get some guidance. I guess it's called mentoring. Go look for some mentors, and I'm more than happy to be a mentor, and I'm very glad that you guys are writing me. But so Nicholas, one thing I can't really help you with because I don't know all the regulations through the European licensing. Here in the United States, it's a lot different, and in my opinion, it's probably a lot easier. I remember back when I was about 22 years old, I was up flying a Twin Otter up in Canada. I showed up at this drop zone to fly this boogie for 2 weeks, and the jump pilots there were flying a 185 or something like that, and they were kind of like, kind of jealous and upset when I showed up because I was like 21 years old, and they thought that I'd just show up and I'd be this young Yahoo kid that was a jerk. But I actually have become really good friends with Roger, and there's another guy named Chris. They were pilots there, and we've become really good friends, and Roger's doing really well. I haven't talked to Chris in years, but I was able to go there and fly a Twin Otter, which they couldn't because they had to have a type rating. And that's just very different. Transport Canada's regulations are a lot different. So I'm not really sure how the European regs would go to accommodate something like that, right? So there again, Nicholas, you're going to have to really kind of keep asking questions, especially with people that's in the majors. I will shoot you a message here soon. There's a guy I met that is with NetJets Europe. He'd be a good person to talk to because he just left British Airways. And I think that someone like him would be good to give you a little guidance, okay? All right, this is another question. This is from B Sully 25. He wrote a long email also, but this kind of answers some of the questions from previous. But I guess what he's asking, how is it on the road? Okay, he wants to know, one question is, okay, once I airline somewhere, how do I get to the aircraft? And it's kind of what I mentioned before. Once say I'm flying to Atlanta and the airplane is in Peachtree. I fly to Atlanta and then I get a Lyft or an Uber. Company pays for all that. Or there might be a limo service. They'll be waiting for me, have little signs, says Davenport, and I say, hey, that's me. And I go with them. They take me to the aircraft or to the airport. And then I meet up with the captain I'm with, okay? And we have iPhones. It explains everything. It tells you who you're flying with, when you're not flying, what hotel you're going to. It's a play-by-play for the day. Okay, it's pretty simple once you learn it. And honestly, I don't even know half of the stuff that this iPhone can do, but it's very integrated. And I tell you, our IT department, they're really good at designing apps and making things really, really cool. So that's how we get to different airplanes. So B. Solly, you have other questions. He wants to know what it's like on the road. Okay, is it boring, different things like that. You kind of make it what you want to make it. It can be boring, it can be lonely, I'm not going to lie. I've been living out a suitcase for many years. And that's one thing about being a pilot. I'm sure if other pilots are watching this, if they watched it this far or this long, you'll see that I hope some would chime in. It does, especially when you start having a family, kids, and wife, kids, hopefully. But what you're going to have problems with is being separated from them. For me, I'm gone for a week, and I do have issues, with relationships and things like that. I'm not going to lie, but I've always been the type that really, I don't settle down either. I'm always on the go, and that kind of bothers people. I'm not really sure why I keep doing that, but with my biplane business and with work, and then I'm also doing other things that's aviation related. Mentoring. I'm going to schools, and I host my own event and different things like that. So I'm like so filled up with time. So on the road, it depends on the crew members you're flying with. Some of the captains, one of the guys that was commenting yesterday, when you're under a Part 1 or a Part 91 flight department and you're paired with someone, and that kind of even goes with this, sometimes you don't click with that person. You don't get along with them all that well. And so that leaves problems, and that can have issues with flying and different things like that. So hopefully you can end up flying with someone where you can get along with them. That's why there's SOPs, standard operating procedures, and there's checklists. As long as you follow the SOPs and their CRM and you use your checklist, everything in a cockpit should go as planned. Okay, it should go per se very safe and make you go from A to B without any issues. Now, what you do after you fly, like we are here in a hotel, it really depends on how you get along with another person. Some people are more social. You have introverts and extroverts. So, if you get someone that wants to go out to dinner and things like that, and you get along with them, you go out to dinner with them. and you go walk around, you go and explore. And I do a lot of that. At USA Jet, that was probably the best job where you actually miss people. When I got hired, it was 100 plus people, or pilots. When we get out on the road, there might be 3 or 4 crews in Laredo, Texas. We would all call each other, and then we go and have lunch or dinner and meet up, and we just like a big family, right? Where I'm at here, there's 2,400 pilots. Man, we're at the same FBO, and a person walks by you, and you don't even say hi. And that's pretty pitiful. But that's just the mentality how people are. I'm not that way. I'm always shaking hands, smiling, and I want to be a face to the community. But not everybody wants to be. There is a rule of thumb, or you'll learn also. You have these slam clickers, and what that means is when you check into the hotel, all you hear is a slam and a click. And that's the door shutting and the lock going on. People go in their hotels and they never leave. I just flew with a guy a couple tours ago. I said, hey, you want to go out and have pizza with me? Well, he goes out with me. It's in Chicago. It's maybe 20 degrees outside. He shows up with a t-shirt on and some sweatpants. And I was like, you don't have a jacket, no gloves, no nothing? No, I don't ever go out. And I believe it. After I've flown with this person, I knew. He doesn't socialize. He doesn't go out and do things. So if he did want to go out, I still would have went out and had pizza myself. I do a lot of stuff on my own. So to answer that question, that was a long answer. It can be lonely on the road, and also you make it what you want to make it. You guys have seen my videos. I go out and I meet friends. I have friends all over the country. When I flew skydivers, I still meet up with skydiving friends that I flew back in the early or the mid 90s. I keep their contact because when I'm in San Francisco or something like that, hey, if someone's available to go grab dinner, it's great to always go and catch up and see your friends, family members, things like that. All right? I hope that helps out. All right? So let's look at another question. All right. This is an add-on to the second question of what B. Sully 25 wrote. He's wanting to know what's the best path to become a pilot. Is it civilian or military, college, all this different stuff. So you saw in one video is about it's very expensive and go through flight school. Are you familiar with the military process? So I'm not very familiar with the military process because I didn't do it, and also I have about 90 credit hours, but I don't have a college degree. How I did it, I actually went to a community college, and I was going to the Part 141 school. I pretty much was doing community college in the winter. I was flying as much as I could, working at a Pizza Hut or a McDonald's at that time. I can't remember which one, but I never finished my degree. Military. Yes, military would be the cheapest and the best way. One thing, you're going to get great training. You'll get a college degree unless you go into the Army. If you go into the Army, you can go into a warrant program, and mostly, probably about 100% of the time, you're going to go in a helicopter first. So you'll have to, as a warrant officer, you go in and fly helis, probably mostly Black Hawks. Hopefully transition into a fixed wing operator or a pilot and build up your flight time that way. But if you went into the Air Force, you could go in, get your college degree, go in as an officer, and then you'll go down to flight school, which would be, down in Columbus, Mississippi, I think it is. It's a hole in the wall, but pretty much any flight school with the military is going to be a hole in the wall. Laughlin, Rutgers, I think that's what it is, where the Army has the helis. But you could do that. When you go into the military, you're going to have to end up signing a contract, right? I have a friend, he's actually, I taught him how to fly model airplanes when he was a little boy, and he's, 10, 11 years younger than me, but I'm not going to say what he flew, but man, he flew some really cool airplanes. He's still in the Air Force, he's a major, but he went through the Air Force Academy, very smart kid, and now, he's still in the Air Force, probably like 9 years, something like that. I don't even know how long it is, but if you go through the Air Force Academy, then you go to flight school, then you go and fly, it's, in my opinion, you're like guaranteed that you're going to be with a major. If you wanted to go to one of the major airlines, you're going to get hired by one of them, and that's just what's going to happen. For me, since I don't have a degree, I can't go to I guess, the top tier majors. I know for a fact that UPS or FedEx or Delta, they're not even going to look at me. They don't care that I have, over 9,000 hours. But just because I don't have a degree. If I had a degree, then I could question a lot of it. But having a degree and then, going to the military, I'd say it's almost a guarantee. But there is a commitment. If you went under just Part 141 and go to college, yeah, you got to go to college, do your 4 years, or try to do it quicker. It's going to be very expensive. Embry-Riddle, things like that, they're very expensive, but they're very accredited. I would probably go, in my opinion, I'd go to something cheaper. And all you need is that piece of paper that says a diploma, 4-year degree, and you still have, in my opinion, it's a level playing field, okay? So I would recommend just maybe getting your degree. If you don't like school, for me, I was not all that great in school. I did really well when I wanted to. You could still make a good career, and I'm proof of that. And there's many other pilots that can prove that. I just don't think the opportunity for a top tier airline is going to pick you up. So that's kind of answers up the questions there. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions. I'm having a lot of fun meeting everybody out on the road whenever I'm flying around. Some of the line guys and things like that. When I'm out, they see me and they come over and introduce themselves. I'm very grateful for that, and I hope I'm at least giving you guys a little inspiration, some guidance, to make a career change or pursue your career or whatever. I'll keep going at it and keep going strong. You guys can message me at on my Instagram. It's Dewey Davenport. I don't hide my name, so I'm pretty easy to find. It's pretty easy. Also, all the pictures are with airplanes and me barnstorming my biplane and different things like that. So I hope to see you guys on Instagram. Hope you guys like my videos. Keep liking them. Keep sending them to your friends. Sorry about the corporate stuff. And, maybe down the road we can get into something else. But until then, blue skies.